Ever notice how right before something big happens in your life, everything seems to go crazy? Like all of a sudden, things that were smooth start getting rough. People you thought were with you start acting funny. Doors that were open seem to slam shut. And it's not because you did something wrong. It's because you're finally doing something right. See, when God is about to bless you in a way that shifts your whole life, don't be surprised when hell starts acting up. It's not a coincidence. That's confirmation. The enemy doesn't bother people who are stuck. He's not intimidated by average. He doesn't lose sleep over comfortable Christians or quiet believers. But when you start aligning your life with God's purpose, when you start walking like you know who you are, when you start declaring that you're the head and not the tail, when you stop settling for crumbs and start preparing for the feast, that's when opposition shows up. Because the enemy knows he can't stop God, so he tries to stop you. He tries to discourage you, distract you, and deceive you. He sends storms, not because you're off course, but because you're on course. Some of y'all are praying against warfare that's actually proof of your assignment. You're rebuking the thing that's revealing your next level. You thought the attack meant God wasn't with you, but in reality, it's because God is with you that the attack came. You ever wonder why Jesus didn't get tempted by the devil until after he got baptized and the heavens opened and the Father said, "This is my beloved Son, in whom I am well pleased"? That's when the Spirit led him into the wilderness to be tested. After the endorsement came the enemy. Because the moment your identity is confirmed, the enemy has to come and test it. It's not just Jesus' story. That's your story too. Some of you have been under intense pressure, financial attacks, relationship tension, mental battles, spiritual fatigue. It feels like everything's falling apart. But I came to tell you, it's not falling apart. It's falling into place. God is letting some things shake, so the only thing left standing is what can carry your blessing. He's not trying to break you. He's trying to build you. You don't train for a marathon by sitting on the couch. You train with resistance. And the same is true in the spirit. Opposition isn't just a sign you're in warfare. It's a sign you're in transition. That pushback you feel, that's birth pain. That heaviness on your chest, that's the weight of new glory. God is stretching your capacity because he's about to pour something in you that you've never carried before. But before he gives it to you, he has to prepare you for it. And one of the ways he prepares you is by allowing opposition to shape your character, sharpen your focus, and strengthen your faith. You're not weak. You're being forged. You're not behind. You're being positioned. Don't let the enemy trick you into retreating just because it's hard. The greater the calling, the greater the conflict. And if you weren't carrying something valuable, the enemy wouldn't be trying so hard to steal it. When David was anointed king, he didn't go straight to the throne. He went straight into a fight with Goliath. And even after that victory, he didn't get a crown. He got chased by Saul, hunted, hidden, forgotten. But even in the cave, he was still king. Don't confuse where you are with who you are. Just because you're in a cave doesn't mean God's promise has changed. Sometimes God hides you before he reveals you, because premature exposure can ruin permanent destiny. So instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Start asking, what is this preparing me for? That resistance you're facing, that's just evidence that you're close, that the enemy sees what's coming, that heaven has already stamped approved on your next level. Don't quit in the middle of confirmation, because when God is about to give you something big, opposition is often the first sign. And if the devil is coming at you hard, it's because heaven is about to hand you something heavy. You ever been in a place where everything that used to excite you just doesn't anymore? Like the conversations that used to fire you up now feel empty. The places you used to enjoy going feel like a waste of time. You look around and nothing's necessarily wrong, but something just isn't right anymore. That's not boredom. That's not a midlife crisis. That's divine discomfort. That's heaven's way of telling you you've outgrown this level. See, when God is about to give you something big, he disrupts your comfort. He makes your current reality start to itch. You can't settle anymore. You can't fake contentment. You can't make peace with mediocrity. And that's not punishment, it's preparation. That irritation you feel in your spirit, it's evidence of expansion. Because when you start growing into who God really called you to be, your old life just won't fit anymore. It's kind of like when a snake starts shedding its skin. That outer layer gets too tight. It's itchy. It's uncomfortable. It starts peeling, and the snake doesn't fight that process. It leans into it because it knows what's happening. Is it death? It's development. And some of y'all are in a season right now where God is peeling back the layers. People are falling off. Habits are breaking down. Your appetite is changing. You can't even enjoy what you used to enjoy because your spirit knows this isn't me anymore. The worst thing you can do in a moment like that is try to shrink yourself to fit where God is calling you to lead. Some of us keep trying to squeeze back into places, relationships, and mindsets that were meant to be temporary. You're trying to find peace in a place that was designed to provoke you. That's why no matter how hard you try, it just doesn't work anymore. Because God has allowed divine discomfort to stir up a new level of desire in you. And listen, desire is holy when it's born out of God's design. When God wants to shift your life, he'll first shift your desires. You'll start craving peace over popularity, purpose over applause, legacy over likes. He'll change what fills you up. You won't even have the energy for gossip, petty arguments, or meaningless hustle. You'll start hungering for something deeper, something eternal, something that lasts. And it's funny, people around you will start noticing the change before you even understand it fully. They'll say, "You've changed," and they'll mean it as an insult. But the truth is, they're right. You have changed. You've grown, you've matured, you've awakened. And don't ever apologize for that. Don't ever downplay your growth just to make other people feel comfortable in their stagnation. Now, let me tell you why this discomfort is actually a gift. Because if you ever got too comfortable where you were, you'd stop reaching for where you're going. That job that frustrates you now, it's pushing you to develop your own business. That friend circle that doesn't feed your spirit anymore, it's clearing space for divine connections. That restlessness in your heart, it's the sound of purpose knocking on the door of your destiny. You're not broken, you're becoming. You're not lost, you're being led. This is the space between who you were and who you're becoming. And yeah, it's uncomfortable, it's awkward, it's unfamiliar, but it's necessary. Because God doesn't just want to give you something big, he wants to make you ready for it. Sometimes God has to disconnect you before he elevates you. He has to make you uncomfortable in the familiar so you can move toward the unfamiliar. He has to make the nest tight so the eagle will fly. And some of y'all are in that tight space right now. It doesn't feel good, but it's working for your good. So don't resist the discomfort. Respond to it. Lean into the stretching. Let go of what no longer serves you. Stop trying to revive expired seasons. Stop apologizing for choosing growth. Because the truth is, you can't become who you're called to be and remain who you've always been. You can't carry new oil in an old wineskin. The version of you that's required for the next blessing can't fit in the mindset that kept you surviving the last season. Discomfort isn't a sign that God has left you. It's a sign that he's leading you. You ever notice how right before God blesses you in a big way, people start falling off? Doors start closing, things you used to love just stop clicking. And at first, it feels like loss. It feels like rejection. You look around and say, God, what's going on? I thought you were about to elevate me, not isolate me. But here's what you need to understand. When God is about to give you something big, he doesn't just add, he subtracts. Because God will never give you a promised land while you're still carrying Egypt in your heart. He'll never pour new wine into an old wineskin. Sometimes he's got to remove things, not because they're bad, but because they can't go where you're going. That season served you, that relationship supported you, that environment sustained you, but none of them were meant to stay with you. This is one of the hardest truths to accept when you're on the edge of a breakthrough. You assume elevation is going to look like addition. More people, more resources, more opportunities. But in God's kingdom, subtraction is part of the strategy. Pruning isn't a punishment. It's proof of growth. And if something is being cut back, it means something greater is about to grow. See, you don't prune dead branches. You prune living ones. You trim what has potential. You cut back what's producing so it can produce more. So when God starts trimming your circle, don't panic. Don't start questioning your worth. Start praising him for the fruit he's preparing to multiply. Because what he's cutting is what's crowding your capacity. God will remove people who loved you but couldn't grow with you. He'll let connections dissolve that were based on who you were, not who you're becoming. And if you're not careful, you'll try to drag old relationships into a new season and sabotage the blessing trying to meet you there. You've got to learn to let go without resentment, let go without bitterness, let go without needing closure. Because sometimes closure is just God closing a door you kept trying to reopen. And here's the wild part. Some of the things God removes, you would have never let go of yourself. You would have held on out of loyalty. You would have stayed because of history. You would have kept showing up out of habit. So God steps in and does the hard work for you. He allows them to walk away. He causes the contract not to renew. He shuts the door you kept forcing open. And you thought the enemy was working, but it was really God clearing the path. Because elevation requires elimination. There are weights you can carry at ground level that will break you at higher altitudes. That's why the airplane has to dump cargo before takeoff. Not because the cargo isn't valuable, but because the destination requires a lighter load. And some of y'all are too weighed down to rise. You're too entangled to fly. So God's got to cut it so you can climb. And I get it. It's painful. It hurts when people leave. It's hard when something familiar ends. But don't confuse painful with harmful. Just because it hurts doesn't mean it's not holy. Some of the most sacred moments in your life will come wrapped in separation. Because God isn't just trying to change your surroundings, he's trying to shift your spirit. And sometimes it takes a breakup to break through. Look at Abraham. God told him, leave your country, your people, and your father's house, and go to the land I will show you. Notice God didn't even tell him where he was going. He just said, go. Why? Because the promise wasn't attached to the place. It was attached to the obedience. And in order to obey, Abraham had to separate, and you will too. You're going to have to walk away from the comfortable to step into the cold. You're going to have to trust that if God allows something to be removed, it's because he's making room for something greater. He's not taking from you. He's making space for you. So stop mourning what God has already moved. Stop trying to resurrect what God already buried. Stop questioning your value because people didn't recognize it. If they had the capacity to go with you, they would have. If they had the grace to grow with you, they'd still be here. But they don't, and that's okay. Because God is not in the business of leftovers. He's preparing a fresh table. And the seats that are empty now, they're reserved for the right people, the right opportunities, the right moments. Let God do his pruning, because when God is about to give you something big, he removes what you thought you needed to make space for what he always intended. There's something powerful that happens when you've been waiting on God, trusting him, staying faithful, and then all of a sudden, things start moving fast. I'm talking about those moments when doors that were shut for years swing wide open. When things you prayed for back then show up now, that's what I call divine acceleration. And it usually shows up right after a season that felt like delay. Let me tell you something. Delay is one of the most misunderstood seasons in the kingdom. Most people take delay as denial. They start thinking, maybe it's not for me. Maybe God changed his mind. Maybe I missed it. But that's not how God works. Just because it hasn't happened yet doesn't mean it's not going to happen. God doesn't forget. He prepares. See, while you were crying out for the blessing, God was working on your capacity to carry it. While you were asking for the breakthrough, he was building the character necessary to sustain it. Because God isn't just trying to bless you. He's trying to keep you blessed. And if he gave it too soon, it would break you instead of bless you. Think about this. Joseph had a dream at 17, but he didn't step into the palace until he was 30. 13 years of waiting, serving, suffering, misunderstood, and forgotten. And it looked like delay. But what looked like delay was actually development. God was getting him ready. And then in one day, everything changed. He went from prisoner to prince. That's what divine acceleration looks like. When God says it's time, nothing can stop it. And here's the thing. When divine acceleration hits your life, you won't have to force it. You won't have to manipulate. You won't have to beg people to support you. You won't have to chase opportunity. God will cause the right people to find you. He will cause your name to be mentioned in rooms you haven't even stepped into yet. Because when it's time, favor will go ahead of you. It will speak louder than your resume, louder than your past, louder than your qualification. That's the kind of blessing that overtakes you. But don't get it twisted. Acceleration is not random. It's the result of obedience during the delay. If you can stay faithful when it's slow, God will reward you when it's time to go. Most people don't miss the blessing because they weren't called. They miss it because they quit too soon. They got tired of waiting, tired of being overlooked, tired of showing up without seeing results. And right when heaven was about to move, they walked away. Don't let that be you. Don't misinterpret the delay as denial. Don't mistake hiddenness for insignificance. Sometimes God hides you to protect what he's developing in you. Just because they can't see you doesn't mean God can't. Just because the door hasn't opened doesn't mean God forgot how to open it. His timing is not late, it's strategic. And let me tell you what else happens right before acceleration. Distractions increase. Pressure increases. Warfare intensifies. Because the enemy knows something is about to break. So he sends confusion. He sends discouragement. He tries to get you to settle for a counterfeit right before the promise shows up. Don't fall for it. Keep your eyes on the promise, not the pressure. Keep your spirit in position. Because when the time comes, God's going to do it so fast, it'll make your head spin. Scripture says, I am the Lord. In its time, I will do it swiftly. That means when God says it's time, you won't need years of networking or a long strategy. You'll just need obedience. Because what God is doing in your life isn't based on time, it's based on timing. And when that timing hits, the years of delay will be swallowed up in days of deliverance. What took others a decade, God will do in a day. So get ready. Get your mind right. Get your spirit right. Stay in position. Because the delay was not a waste. It was a setup. A setup for sudden favor. A setup for supernatural speed. A setup for doors that no man can shut. God is not behind schedule. He's preparing to make up for lost time with interest. Because when God is about to give you something big, it might feel delayed, but when it hits, it comes fast, and nothing can stop it.